The British comedian Jimmy Carr has once again been cancelled by the far left and Islamists in the United Kingdom. Why? Because he supports Israel as an independent country. In this live stream, we're going to give you guys the latest update about the meltdown coming from the political left and the Islamists in Britannia. Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel, on happy Saturday, and to the followers of 2CTV, happy 850,000 subscribers day. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've gained 50,000 new subscribers over the last 3 weeks. So special thanks to every single person who continues to support our independent work. Let's talk about what's happened in London a few days ago and the reaction to this, which is absolutely hilarious. Just prepare yourselves. Make sure you have your popcorn ready, your cup of tea and everything else, pint of beer, whatever you want to have, because this one is going to be a bumpy road. It's going to be kind of funny. You're going to have to laugh, otherwise it's just too depressing, right? Now, let's start by talking about Jimmy Carr. So Jimmy Carr, whose job is to basically offend everybody equally, which is kind of interesting because sometimes when people on one side of the political spectrum, they look at him, he's a comedian, and he also makes controversial comments anyway. So when he makes a comment about the other side, this side like, yeah, that's good, he's funny, this is great. Then when he does it to this side, everyone's like, wow, how dare he? I cannot believe he was so offensive. I'm not going to watch him anymore. I'm not going to. You just did the same thing. It's called double standards. And, you know, he's supposed to be equally offending every single person. But everything goes back to earlier this week. So what happened was, there was an event held by the Israeli embassy at the British Museum for the anniversary of the State of Israel, right? Many people were invited, including top politicians, political leaders, and of course Jimmy Carr was there. And the point of this was, as you can see in this photo, Jimmy Carr and a number of others. Unfortunately, myself, I wasn't able to attend this, but many others could go. They did go, and there was no controversy around this, technically speaking. It's an event for celebrations of an independent country, and the supporters of the Jewish community and the Israelis in London were there. And of course, the Israeli embassy held this, just like many other embassies. They always do it for the people that they have in Britain to go and attend it. And of course, the political leaders to show support, because Israel is an ally to this country. Now, if Qatar holds an event like this, it will be weird if, for example, Nigel Farage attends this. But Nigel Farage obviously went to this event as well. You can also see in the background, I believe, Rachel Johnson, the sister of Boris Johnson, and many others as well who were there. It's natural because it's an ally to the United Kingdom. Just like when the American embassy holds an event to celebrate 4th of July, right? Simple. The meltdown, the absolute meltdown over not necessarily the politicians. I mean, I think because the politicians were expected, everybody was like, we're going to cancel you anyway, all these leftists, like Kevin Badenoch was there. But they were shocked to see Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr, how dare he go to this event? But it gets better. This is where it's going to get funny. Get ready for this. Scottish venues hosting the comedian Jimmy Carr should cancel his performances after he hosted the secret party for the Israeli embassy this week, according to campaigners. He hosted a secret party. Secret? Was that really a secret party? It makes it sound like some sort of underground secret party, like in Iran, because you're not allowed to have public parties. We'll make sure you have someone at the door. No one's coming in. The police, if the police finds out, we're all going to get arrested. Not a secret party, it was just the anniversary, right? It gets better. Considering it was a secret party, how come all these pro-Palestinian smelly beardies managed to be outside the British Museum while the event was taking place? It was supposed to be a secret party, and they always tell us that if the Israelis, the Zionists, and Mossad want to do something secretive, they are very sneaky, they are very good at secret missions. Clearly, they were not very good at this secret mission because the location was quite clear, and the Palestinian side found out where it was, right? Now, this is a statement, and I'm going to show you a video in a minute. Just stay with me because this, the meltdown. Oh, the meltdown. First, this is the statement from an organization called Show Israeli Genocide the Red Card. That is the longest name for any sort of campaign group I've ever seen. What is that supposed to be? They said, by hosting a secret party for Israel at the British Museum this week, comedian Jimmy Carr chose to fly the flag for Israel, an illegal apartheid occupation committing a genocide. We refuse to condone anyone who turns a blind eye to the actions of Israel, and we strongly oppose Scottish venues hosting Jimmy Carr. I love how they're talking in Scotland now, like poor Scotland. We asked the venues to cancel his appearance and for fans to boycott his gigs in line with the boycott, divestment and sanctions the BDS movement called for by Palestinians. If the venues ignore the call of the people opposing Israel's horrific onslaught on occupied Palestinians, then we will be there to protest and to send the message that Scotland stands firmly against genocide. And hang on. So a bunch of you guys, mostly from England, are going to go all the way up to Scotland to protest outside the Scottish venues, and you're protesting to say that Scotland as a whole are against Jimmy Carr and Israel. How does that work? A bunch of middle-class champagne socialist English people going up to Scotland and say, we're going to speak on behalf of Scotland. I don't think that's how it works. But let's talk about the meltdown. The statement wasn't the meltdown. The statement was a threat. Oh, very, very serious threat. This is where it gets funny. This William idiot said, monstrous, guys, that the UK government ministers, oh yeah, of course, we also had the Labour minister also there. UK government ministers can still party in London, celebrating the British contribution to Israel's Gaza genocide, even as starvation stalks 2 million civilians. And Netanyahu publicly makes clear that he intends ethnic cleansing for the entire Palestinian population. Are they just coming up with random policies on behalf of Netanyahu? How does that work? This is gaslighting. I think this is what we call proactive, preemptive gaslighting. Before something's actually happened, they're like, well, no, we've decided this is the scenario because they had a dream in their sleep. Now, the favorite part of this report. Look at this melon head. All right, this human being, well, I'm guessing she's some sort of vegan, decided to make this video, had a bit of a meltdown. It's about a minute or so, right? Just watch this with me because there's a few things that she says in this video that needs to be addressed. Watch it.
Jimmy Carr, Nigel Farage, Maria Eagle and Kemi Badenoch all attended a secret Israeli Independence Day event at the British Museum on Tuesday night. Should one of London's most recognised public cultural spaces be facilitating a far-right Zionist party? Let's talk about who was in the room and why it matters. Maria Eagle, the UK Minister for Defence Procurement and Industry, gave a keynote speech praising the RAF's surveillance flights over Gaza, the very intel enabling Israel's assault on Palestinians. Tzipi Hotovely, Israeli ambassador to the UK and Nakba denier, was the main host of the event, a consistent voice for bombings of homes and mosques in Palestine. Nigel Farage and Richard Tice of Reform UK, a far-right party of neo-Nazi sympathisers, were also in the room. Their presence at this event, along with GB News presenters, speaks volumes. Kemi Badenoch, Conservative Party leader, was also there and has previously backed arms exports to Israel and called its Gaza siege extraordinary. Figures like Stephen Crabb and Lord Austin, tied to oil interests and pro-Israel lobbying, rounded off the guest list. And of course, Jimmy Carr, comedian infamous for jokes about genocide, provided the entertainment. Meanwhile, outside the museum gates, anti-imperialist climate collective Energy Embargo for Palestine were joined by protesters to demand transparency from the museum about its ties with Israel, and were met with heavy police repression. The British Museum, funded by BP, a company profiting from gas deals in Gaza, has now actively hosted celebrations for Israel's war criminals. This was not just a random event. It's narrative laundering, an opportunity to legitimize Israel's genocide while suppressing protesters in solidarity. hosted by a British public museum, supposedly funded by UK taxpayers. Energy embargo for Palestine have 5 key demands for the museum, which are all in the caption, starting off with it providing full disclosure on its ties with Israel, as well as cutting its ties with BP. Find out more about the campaign and the action that you can take in the caption below.
Wait. There are a few good things she said. Firstly, that's the first time I've heard narrative laundering. That's a good one. I'm going to steal that. Narrative laundering. All right. Second issue. Second problem. She said that the British Museum, they have demands. They have demands for the British Museum to clarify their links to the Israeli embassy. Yeah, the Israeli embassy got in touch with them, emailed them, organized the event like any other organization. It's not that difficult. She then said we need to basically, BP is responsible. BP, what she doesn't know is that since her childhood, when her mummy and daddy used to drive her around in the car, most of the time they got their petrol from BP. She needs to cancel her own family. But it is fascinating that when she was naming the list of the groups and organizations who were there to protest, did you notice? Firstly, they're just words. They're just coming up with random words to create new organizations. Why are the climate change activists joining the Palestinian movement? Well, we know why, because they're all the same people. They just work under different umbrellas, different banners. It's the same group of people who get funded by a bunch of globalist weirdos and people like George Soros, Alex Soros and all that. And they're doing all this, pretending to be independent. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's fascinating how the media who are going along with this narrative, so there have been a number of publications who reported this. What I'm talking about, they reported that these far left groups, they don't call them far left, they just say, the people's movements, they are calling on venues to cancel Jimmy Carr. So they're just reporting it. Firstly, it's because those left-wing groups get in touch with these publications, like The National, which is a Scottish newspaper, and they tell them to publish it, and they do. Like, if I get in touch with these newspapers to say they have a story, in fact, we had a story, the cancelled documentary that we did on 2CTV Plus, led by Sammy Woodhouse, Groomed, led by Sammy Woodhouse, 2 documentaries, and we got in touch. Obviously, Sammy herself got in touch with some newspapers and broadcasters. Eventually, some of them started talking about it, reporting it, but they refused to actually, some of them give credit to 2CTV Plus for actually making the documentary. So they stole our stories and ideas and they reported it. But it's not easy. If I get in touch with them to say, well, we have a very important story, they're not going to report it. But if the left-wing organizations get in touch with them, of course, they're always going to do it. And they don't hold them to account. All these broadcasters and newspapers, they don't really, when they're reporting these things, they don't say, well, these left-wing organizations are demanding blah, blah, blah from the British Museum, Jimmy Carr to be cancelled, but let's dig deep to find out who these groups are. And they are Marxists, for example, right? Crazy, crazy times, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get some reaction. Big Red Super Chat, thank you very much. Saying a fresh trim. I finally did it. It's been weeks. My hair was becoming what I call a straight afro. It turns into a mushroom. Because it's not frizzy, it's not really curly, but it's just straight, but it just goes. Jimmy Carr is a riot, one of my favorites. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite comedian. Ivan says, who are these Muppets to speak for Scotland? They are the champagne socialists, limousine liberals from England, telling Scotland what to think. As they always do. Ivan says, who is this brainwashed witch? Yeah, that brainwashed witch. It's a very good question. Her identity is not going to be easy to be found, mostly because she hasn't identified herself as anything yet. I tried my best. I didn't want to assume. I don't even know if it's a she, if it's a he, if it's a they. Could be anybody, right? But let me just see if I can find the link, because it was kind of funny. Is it this one? Yeah. So we don't have a name. Actually, there we go. Shadow. Shadow? Her name is Shadow for some reason. Her name, his name, their name, its name, whatever. Let's get some non-super chats. Tuck Shop says, cancel Jimmy Carr again. Last time was because he joked about the Holocaust. Well, last time, that was kind of funny. Last time, the people who were trying to cancel him were the gypsies, travelers, because he went hardcore about, of course, in the 1940s and the Holocaust. He just basically added a group of gypsies, saying, well, they also died. And then everybody freaked out. It was, in fact, the same left-wingers who are now basically saying Israelis are doing genocide. They were the ones who were offended on behalf of gypsies. I'm like, what's that got to do with anything? By the way, we do have a quick breaking news as well, because while I'm sitting here in my ivory towers, there is another Palestinian chaotic protest in central London. And we have, of course, the counter-protesters who are there, the British Patriots and Jewish community in London. And the 2CTV reporter, Nyak Orbani, or Mr. Banana Man, was there. And I can confirm, Nyak has once again been arrested. Obviously, it's not a Saturday unless Nyak gets arrested. Now, for those who don't know, Nyak Orbani was... He started as the infamous counter-protester about a year and a half ago. He was the one who came up with the sign, Hamas are terrorists and all that, because they are. And he started to get arrested. He has now, because he's originally from Iran, but he's now officially been arrested by the Metropolitan Police in London more than he was ever arrested in Iran by the morality police. That tells you so much about the state of the country in the UK. Even the morality police in Iran would let him do it. Chris says, I do actually believe all lefties are mentally unstable. Well, some yes. I mean, it's psychologically, they're flawed. The rest, it's a condition because of you have to go back to their upbringing. You have to go back to their childhood, the way their relationship with their parents and their environment, who they were around. The early days, especially early days education, is very important for the brain to be able to be formed. And a lot of these people, you look at it, they don't have a good relationship with their parents. Sometimes by choice, sometimes they become spoiled and they're like, oh, I don't want to be like my dad, successful and whatever. Sometimes they are neglected, and everything goes back to how they see the world. So at times it's just a condition because of childhood. At times, yes, it is psychologically it's a flaw. That can't really be addressed. If you are so much into self-hatred and lack of confidence and trying to blame your own problems on other people, then you have to be treated. It's just basic mental exercise that you need to do. And, it would be good to have it. There's a lot of psychiatrists out there. Then the psychiatrists are not just there for crisis mode. They're not just there for emergencies. A lot of people could do with regular support just in terms of mental exercise. But yeah, that's not really happening. 2C, it's saying I've got to pay £55 for the app. I'm already a member. But the app is not officially out yet unless you have access that I don't have. Do you have access to the app already? What's going on here? Secondly, no, of course you don't have to pay £55 for the app. You just log in with your existing username. We will be releasing in the next few days, hopefully. It's ready, basically. It's just there. So that's why I'm like freaking out. Has this person got access to it already? Somehow. But yeah, so it's got a login button. You just log in with your existing username and password from the main platform. Obviously, if you want to join, actually, just wait for now. I've never done this, but just wait. I was going to say subscribe to 2CTV Plus, right? You can go check it out for today. 2C.tv. That's our independent platform. You get access to chat forum if you want to talk to me directly, documentaries and everything else. But instead of actually me telling you to do it now, I shouldn't do this, but don't sign up now. Sign up tomorrow, hopefully, because we are going to give you a big discount code. There is going to be a big promo coming in for obvious reasons, because we're going to have certain things released, as you can imagine. The app is coming, and so just wait for that for another day. Because yeah, if I tell you to join now, then some of you, if you join today, then next couple of days when we give the promo code, you're going to be upset. So I don't want to do There's a few super chats I've missed. Rogue Trooper says, I am from Scotland. I'm Scotland. No one speaks for me, not even my corrupt SNP government. Good. Also, F. Starmer, Free Tommy and Lucy Connolly. Yes. See, that's a real Scot. You know, a real Scot, you can't tell them what to do, or you can't speak on their behalf, because, you know, they go crazy in a good way. Did Tony Blair run the right-wing party in your country? He wishes. Is that why they don't vote right anymore? No, Blair was the leader of the Labour Party, which is a centre-left party. But what he managed to do, he himself was running what we would call a liberal globalist government. So he managed to alienate the actual left-wingers, the proper socialists, because they're like, oh, this guy's a corporatist, globalist, and obviously is also not right-wing. It doesn't actually believe in free speech or free market capitalism and individual liberty. So he also alienated right-wingers because he was the Labour Prime Minister. Obviously, by default, that's a left-wing party. So he managed to completely ruin the political spectrum. So a lot of the problems we have. Also, he completely wrecked the Constitution, which is a very left-wing thing to do. But yeah, Tony Blair. What a weirdo. Ivan says they never fact-check the left. Yes, the media and the press, absolutely. So, you know, as I said, you go to them with stories if you're left-wing. You can get in touch with Sky News, BBC, The Guardian, not just the left-wing. You could get in touch with the Times and Daily Mail or whatever. And they tend not to fully fact-check if you're left-wing. They just believe what you say. Whereas obviously if you're not left-wing, then, oh, they're going to do a lot of scrutiny. They're probably going to reject your stories anyway. And it happens all the time. Stu says, he laughs like a seal having a panic attack and tells jokes about rape and pedophilia. But attending an Israeli celebration is too far. That's a very good point. Actually, that was his defense after the last time he was cancelled when he made a joke about gypsies, travelers. And he was like, I love how people think that's the red line. I've been literally making jokes, he said, about kids, very, very disgusting things. And it's like, so this is the red line, this is where you get offended? It makes a good point. And he also always says, one day I will be cancelled again for something that I've already said probably 10, 15 years ago. And there have been a number of attempts to bring back his old stuff to cancel it. But he can't be fully cancelled. You can't cancel someone who's uncancelable. Firstly, he's very popular. Secondly, his branding is too high. That basically he's like McDonald's. Like a lot of people could go out there and say, I hate McDonald's. McDonald's is terrible food. And it is. It's just plastic. But the branding is so high that there will always be enough people that will support McDonald's. They will eat McDonald's. So that's the thing about people like Jimmy Carr. These idiots don't get it. Trace, thank you again for your super chat. Another one saying, a housewife is jailed for 2 years for a tweet. Honestly, who never visited China would never know the UK is far worse than China in every aspect. It's not worse than China, but compared to our own standards, what the UK or the Western European countries should be, it's embarrassing. It's definitely not as bad as China. And people who don't understand actual tyranny, they should actually go and see. I will show you tyranny. I'll take you to Iran and show you actual tyranny. Doesn't mean we have a free society in the West, but compared to our standards, we have enough tyranny, which is not acceptable. But the sort of stuff that if you do in China, you're not just going to have the police knock on your door, give you a caution saying, oh, this is a harmful, legal but harmful speech, naughty. That's what the police does here. Or I'll send you to jail for like a few months. In China, you won't get that. You get something a little bit worse. So doesn't mean we are good. Doesn't mean we're perfect as in terms of our government. We are definitely moving towards societies like Iran or China. But yes, let's not forget, actual tyranny, 100% totalitarianism already exists in the world. Anyway, cancel for backing Jews, it figures. England has no spine. The thing is, these left-wingers don't actually represent the whole of the UK anyway. But they want you to think, just like how they said we're gonna speak on behalf of Scotland for some reason. They want a lot of people around the world to believe that these left-wing voices are basically the whole country. Cabe says, nice haircut, Maya. Much better. Thanks. Congratulations. 850,000 subscribers. All the best. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we'll continue to grow. Borav says, Jimmy Carr can't get cancelled. But anyway, yeah, you can't. I mean, they can try. And also, considering that their threat was, they said to the Scottish venues to cancel his performances, right? Sometimes venues do cancel, right? The problem with it is that we already saw in that video I showed you and the statements that we received from that weird Palestinian organization. They said if you don't cancel his Jimmy Carr's performances, they warned the venues that what we're going to do is we're going to protest outside. Is that it? So I don't understand why these venues are so terrified at times. Now, it's just a protest. Get on with it. If they start targeting the building, throwing things, yes, I will understand why some businesses, like venues, will be scared. Still not good, but I understand why they care about their business. They'll be terrified. Like, I don't want my staff to get attacked, right? But most, in Britain at least, not in America, not in Canada, even France, those places, the violence you get, the regular casual violence you get from the far left or Islamists is on a whole new level. Now, in the UK, we've had some weird things happening as well. But not compared to the other places, especially when it comes to America and Canada. It's just more normal for the left, like Antifa or even Islamists, to just choose violence as the first option. Here, they choose a lot of peer pressure, a lot of annoying protests, chanting, genocidal nonsense. Yes, there will always be one or two people who also try to attack a Jew, but we tend not to fully always get left-wingers attacking buildings. They could easily do it, and if you're not careful, they will do it, but it's not their go-to option. So my message to this venue is don't worry. Calm down. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just Jimmy Carr. Now, if you, for example, I don't know, if a famous venue publicly and proudly hosts someone like Tommy Robinson, right? Ooh, that's dangerous. You might actually then get the left-wingers actually attacking the building. Because for them, Tommy Robinson is the devil. So it's justified. Whereas with Jimmy Carr, they know. The left, these groups are professional protesters. They know they can't make a bad PR move. Sometimes they still do, but they try to be cautious to try to win the argument. So even with Just Stop Oil, Extinction Rebellion, all these climate activists, what they end up doing, they have their meetings beforehand, they have their briefings. We showed you some videos in the past. They talk to each other how to deal with the police, how to not actually give them any excuses that we are breaking the law. They know the law, and they just block the roads, instead of like going around burning things all the time. So, but every now and then they do mess up. So there's always one or two weirdos who cause trouble. Naomi says, I am 2C's biggest fan. I am pimping myself out to give super chat money for him to marry, bride, travel the world and live large. Thanks. I appreciate that. Although the super chats don't go to me, it goes to the team that we have. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much to cover today. I'm going to be on the road, so the next live update is going to be not from here. It will be from somewhere else. And apparently I'm being forced to watch Eurovision tonight. I don't like that show. Don't know why. But at least, I don't know. Let's see what happens. And I hope Israel wins, I guess, because she deserves to win. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.